Heard a story recently about Bill Gates. Bill Gates, back when he was one of the richest men, or before he was one of the richest men in the world, went on a trip. But actually, I should caveat that when he was one of the richest men in the world, he was asked the question, is anyone richer than you in this world? So currently he's one of the richest men in the world, and he was asked, is anyone richer? So he tells the story of back before he was one of the richest men in the world, the young man, and he happened to be in the New York airport, and he needed a newspaper. So he goes to a newspaper vendor, and he takes a newspaper and gets ready to pay for it, but then realizes he doesn't have enough money. So the newspaper vendor said, no problem, this one's on me. A few months later, he happens to actually be at the same airport, and again, wants a newspaper, and embarrassingly picks up a newspaper, goes to the vendor, and then realizes he doesn't have enough money. Again, newspaper vendor says, don't worry about it, this one's on me. And now Bill Gates is going, no, like, I don't have enough money, that's not right. The newspaper vendor says, this one's on me, it'll come out of my profit, I won't be behind. Fast forward 20 years, and Bill Gates is now one of the richest men in the world. And one day he remembers that newspaper vendor. And so he searched for him for a month and a half and found him. And he goes up to him and says, do you know me? And the vendor said, yes, you're Bill Gates. And Gates asked the vendor, do you remember once you gave me a newspaper for free? The vendor replied, I gave you two, I remember. Gates said, I want to repay you for the help you offered me. Whatever you want in your life, tell me and I'll fulfill it. The vendor responded, sir, do you think that by doing so, you won't be able to match my help? Gates asked why. The vendor's response was profound. I had helped you when I was a poor newspaper vendor, and you are trying to help me now when you have become the richest man in the world. How can your help match mine? Gates said to that audience, to that man that asked him if he was the richest man in the world, he said, that day I realized that the newspaper vendor is richer than I am, because he didn't wait to become rich to help someone. People need to understand that the truly rich are those who possess a rich heart, rather than lots of money. Today we hear in the second reading, really a discourse on work. And we hear that if one doesn't work, they ought not to eat. Work is really an act of love. A love to self, a love to others, and a love to ultimately God. Our constitutions say work is the basic means by which we support ourselves and exercise love. Therefore, let each of us make his God-given talents bear fruit. Mother Teresa asked the question, have you ever loved someone until it hurts? Now, it's easy for us to work to show love when we have the energy to be able to do it, right? When we're fresh and we're in a good mood, we've had maybe a lot of time to do what we love to do, and we have all that energy, it's easy to work. It's easy to love. But Mother Teresa's question of have you ever loved till it hurts made me think, do I work? Do I love when I'm empty? No, like we know this, for anybody that works out, you know this, that in order to lose weight, you have to work out until it hurts. If you take, there's like a, what they call a fat burning zone, which if you take your heart rate, if you take 220 and then subtract your age, that's your max heart rate, okay? So take number 220, subtract your age, and that would be your max heart rate. If you take 70% of your heart rate, at that 70%, that's when you're burning fat, and that's when it hurts, right? And so that's the time when we're actually getting that good workout in. But it has to hurt, you know, if you're just kind of relaxing and doing an easy workout, you're not going to lose any weight. So we know this fact that we see results, or we see results when it hurts, right? When we go hard. So I think when we work out, or when we're working, and when we're loving, if we're doing it till it hurts, like that's like true heroic work, true heroic love. Verse 9 from today's reading said, is the apostle saying that we want to present ourselves as a model to you so that you might imitate us. So St. Paul, has shown the people a model of working. And it got me thinking about some brothers in the house that have showed me, what it's like to work till it hurts or to love till it hurts. Yesterday, Stephen Kian and I went to Fan the Fire, and it was really amazing watching Stephen. Stephen, very strong introvert. It was amazing to watch him give a whole day to 400 to 500 kids that he didn't, high school students that he didn't know, to give of his energy, to keep giving the entire day, to give until it hurts. That was very inspiring for me. Collins, my classmate, has lost his dad and his grandfather and his grandmother in about a year. And when you lose someone like that, the temptation would be to sort of close in, to not reach out. But yet I've seen Colin continue to love his family and to continue to love his Capuchin family as well until it hurts. That vulnerability of I might lose them, but I'm going to love them anyway. There's a line from Gaudy at Spes that stands out to me. It says, "For when a man works, he not only alters things in society, he develops himself as well. He learns much, he cultivates his resources, he goes outside of himself and beyond himself." Rightly understood, this kind of growth is of greater value than any external riches which can be garnered. A man is more precious for what he is than for what he has. A reminder of that newspaper vendor. It's also important, as we work and as we love, to give glory to God for our work and our love, to not take credit for it for ourselves. There's a line in night prayer on Tuesday that I really love. It says, "I remember the days that are past." So you're thinking about your day. "I ponder on all your works," not my works, but your works. So you're thinking about the things that you did for the day, and then that temptation might to be like, "Oh, I did a great job." But it's, "I pondered on all your works. I muse on what your hand has wrought. And to you I stretch out my hands." So again, giving glory to God for our work that we've done today, which is really, again, our love. The other thing about work is work must be a process of discernment. So you're not just working for work's sake, right? But you're doing it on God's time and what He's calling you to do. And for each of us, that might be a little different. So I started thinking about some common pitfalls of work. So one pitfall that some of us might experience is, if I work hard, I'll be valued, affirmed, or achieve high status. This very kind of American, I think, idea, but definitely found in many cultures. I think of guys in formation. There's like this competitiveness, this trying to make a name for oneself. For maybe the older guys, it's still trying to show that you still got it, right? And so you're going to work hard, be competitive, try to make a name for yourself, or show that you still got it, because if you do that, you're going to be valued, affirmed, or achieve that high status. And again, some lines in the Constitution stand out to me. It says, "Let us take care not to make work itself our final goal, nor to become inordinately attached to it, so as to not extinguish in ourselves the spirit of holy prayer and devotion." And again, it says, if uniting poverty with work. Well, this is my thought, that if uniting poverty with work, the Constitutions say that by taking a vow of poverty, you're also working with, as Capuchins, we take a vow of poverty and we work, right? But we're not receiving the money for ourselves for that work. So we're countering the challenges of individualism and the tendency to reduce work to a tool for mere economic profit. As Capuchins, we reject that. But I started thinking, okay, yes, we don't receive that economic compensation personally, but do we still reduce work as a tool to mere social or status profit? A way to boost ourselves up in the status or the social sphere? Another struggle someone might have is the struggle of actually relaxing due to workaholic tendencies. So this idea of work is not always doing. This is something I struggle with, is like being okay with relaxing. Our constitutions say we recognize the importance of rest. It too helps us to live the grace of work. Yeah, so you have those people that's like, go, 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 and my value is in my work, I'm going to be affirmed, or I'm going to climb the social sphere if I work hard. Then there are others that might say, I'm only going to work as hard as I want to, and I'm only going to work on what I want to work on. Don't ask me to work any harder, and don't ask me to do anything else, right? So it's this grip on almost this control. If I'm going to work or love the way I want to, for as long as I want to, doing what I want to. And this might be a struggle of flexibility or stubbornness or sloth. Again, our constitutions say, let us therefore avoid laziness, which lives off the work of others, leads to mediocrity in spiritual life, and makes us idle in God's field. Again, sort of the reading that we read today, that if you're not working, you shouldn't eat. I think a great example of, the best example of someone that worked in the way that God called him to. It worked in the way, that did that with discernment, that gave glory to God in his work and his love, and worked until it hurt, is the cross. That hurts. And he poured himself out, right? So even when he didn't have that energy and all that, when he didn't have that energy, he was beaten down, he still went through with it. He still loved us on the cross. That was his work and his ultimate purpose. So in conclusion, let's think of the vendor. Let's think of Mother Teresa's quote. Let's think of Jesus Christ. That vendor gave, even though he was a poor vendor, he gave, right? Mother Teresa says, have you ever loved someone until it hurts? And we look at the cross. Let us not wait until we have the energy to work or to love. Let us be open to answering God's call to love, not on our time, but rather on his. Let us do so that when we get to heaven, we will be able to say, yes, God, I loved you until it hurt.